Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Tonight, I'm going to be taking a nice little drive to San Diego, and I want to show you how to use the Nikon D80 while taking panoramic pictures. Now, mind you, the Nikon D80 does not have the live view feature, so this will make it a little more difficult than what we're normally used to on other cameras. It's going to be fun, it's going to be exciting, and I'll show you exactly how to do it step by step so that you can replicate this if you want to, or even use your Nikon DSLR to do the same thing. I will show you the easiest way to do this and how amazing it can be even with such an old Nikon DSLR. Now I'm using the nighttime scenery because that is my favorite. So let's go for a little drive. Let's get down to where we want to go. Let's have some fun and let's make this video. Okay, so I made it to my spot where I want to take my panorama, and it is really pretty. But so I'm going to be showing you how to use the Nikon D80. Even if this camera is really old, it can still produce really amazing photos, even it being just a 10.2 megapixel CCD sensor. It's a very nice old sensor, and it will actually show some pretty amazing colors. Sorry about my screen brightness. I'll have to tone this down a little bit, but basically I'm going to do the panorama. I'm going to show you guys how it's done. It's quite simple. It takes some time. But here's what we're looking at. Basically just a beautiful scenery, downtown San Diego on the water. What I want to do is I want to get this so the water is really silky and soft without any ripples. You can see the ferry is actually going right now. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit right there. The ferry is actually going on the water. So it's just really a fun scenery to look at. And just a really cool pano. So that's what I'm looking for right now. And then we got my camera all set up right here. Hold on, so you guys can see what we got going on here. So we got a camera set up with the tripod, and I'm going to be doing for this particular photo, I'm going to be using f/22 because f/22 will actually make that water really silky smooth. And keep in mind, I don't have an info button on this camera. The only thing I have is my viewfinder and my settings. So I don't have live view, I don't have an info button. It's a very basic old camera, but it is gonna give me what I want to look for. Alright, so yes, I did use an f-stop of f/22, and the whole reason for that is because I wanted to make sure I wasn't overblown on my lights. And I've had great experience using this f-stop on the 50mm, and it has worked perfectly. Now, you don't have to use this, but for having the effect that I want, getting that painterly effect in the water to where all the lines look like they're just colorful lines in the water, that really worked for me, especially with my background. My background was really sharp, and I also got that starry effect as if you were using a star filter, and that's kind of what I was going for with this. Now you can play with it, around with it as much as you want, and kind of feel out the settings that you want to use with your specific camera. If you are using a D80 and a 50mm, you can give this a try and see what you think. It worked really well for me, and I just love the results. Okay, so Settings, f/22. I'm using a 50mm lens. I'm going to be doing it about 50 seconds. I believe I'm going to play around with that a little bit to see what kind of lighting I want, but it's going to probably be around 50 seconds. One important thing that you have to use in when you are doing these kind of photos, you have to make sure you have a very sturdy tripod, and you have to make sure you are using one of these. This is a remote that basically it's a wireless remote. This shutter release you can find on MBP, which I'm not a sponsor of, but I'll also go ahead and leave an affiliate link below, so you guys can purchase this little remote shutter release if you'd like to. It is compatible with the Nikon D80, the Nikon D90, and the Nikon D7000, and a few other cameras as well. If you're using a D80, make sure you have this one. This is the L3 remote. This is the original remote that came with the Nikon D80, or you actually had to buy it separately, but you can probably find these on Amazon really cheap. So if you do want one of these, I will leave an affiliate link in the description below this video. Make sure you guys click that if you want it. I'll leave a few tripods on the video as well. This tripod I'm using is actually really old. It's an old Dolica tripod, and I can't find this one anymore. This one was actually gifted to me, so, but and then on top I'm just using my GoPro to video all this stuff, but I'll show you what I'm doing in camera as soon as I start filming or start actually taking pictures. Okay. One thing to know is that you want to keep your images as level as possible when you are turning your camera to the certain viewpoints, because this camera does not have an auto panoramic mode like some other cameras do. You will need to turn your swivel on your tripod mount, and the one thing to keep in mind is that you keep that level. Just keep the horizon line as close as you can. You might even want to use a little tiny level if you like, because that will actually determine if your picture is going to be exactly like the other ones. You could also use your built-in level if you have one on your tripod, which some tripods do. Yeah, so let's get into this part, okay? Alright, so here we are. I'm set up on the tripod. I have my camera vertically mounted so that I can do frame by frame. I'm probably going to do about 5 or 6 frames in this pano, and then later on we're going to take it into Photoshop and we're going to stitch it all together, and I'll show you how that comes out. But each frame is going to be a certain amount of speed, but we do want to make sure that our camera is turned on to remote mode. So if you guys are using D80, make sure you turn your mode to remote instead of timer. That way you can get the exact speed that you want. Okay, a great way to keep your photo lined up is make sure you use your grid lines in your viewfinder. If you're using a camera that does not have live view, use your grid lines, and it's going to give you the best possible horizon line when you're doing a pano. That's just something I would keep in mind, is just to make everything perfectly level. Make sure you use those to your advantage. They're in your camera for a good reason. So if you guys don't use them, I highly suggest you use those grid lines. If not, activate them when you're doing this, because it's going to help you so much. Let's do this. It's beautiful. Well, lo and behold, I messed up a little bit with my horizon line, even after I said that using the grid in your viewfinder is a perfect way to get something level. Well, I messed up, but you know what, it's okay, because I can always fix it in post. And even when you're doing panos, you'll be cropping a little bit anyway, so I'll make up for that when I'm actually stitching it together in Photoshop. The thing about panos is you have to be patient. You can't rush through it, especially with an older camera like this one, because then you're not going to get the image that you want. I mean, yeah, you can be kind of quick about it, but to make sure all your settings are correct, your f-stop, your shutter speed, your ISO, and everything, you just gotta not rush through it, okay? Perfect. Okay. Keep it there. And go. Oh, gorgeous. One technique that I use when I'm doing a pano is I hold my finger up in my frame after I take my picture to go ahead and move the camera on the tripod. I keep my finger up to let myself know where I had my image in my frame, and then when I have my picture set to take my next sequence for my pano, I remove my finger and take my picture. Alright, so now that we have all of our panoramic images all taken, now let's go ahead and take it into Photoshop, and I'm going to show you exactly how you stitch each one of them together and how we can make them blend to create the perfect panorama image. Alright guys, so here we are in Adobe Photoshop. And the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is automate our panorama. Okay? So we're going to go to File, we're going to go to Automate, and we're going to go to Photo Merge. Okay? And when Photo Merge pops up, you're going to go ahead and tap the perspective little button there. And then you want to go to Browse and look for your images that you want to put into your panorama. Now for me, I'm going to go ahead and select my just 6 images from this panorama that I took, because the images on the outsides actually came out pretty slanted on my for my horizon, and I wasn't too happy with those. And those will Photoshop, I've already tried this a little bit. Photoshop actually has a hard time making it into an automatic panorama. So for the sake of this video and time, I'm going to go ahead and just do 6 of these images, which I feel will work perfectly for what I'm trying to show you guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and open those and hit OK. And next you'll see that the image is now being put together. While we wait, I just want to say Happy New Year. It is 2024, and I wish you guys a very Happy New Year. I wish you guys great things to happen, and I hope that you're all doing well and are all healthy and everything. This year, I hope this year brings great many things for you guys, and just that it's a good year, because it's 2024, okay? And one thing I also want to note, in this video, earlier on when I was actually shooting out in the outdoors to take these pictures, I forgot to mention one important thing. You don't want to use VR on your lens. If you are using a VR lens, make sure you turn off VR, because what will happen is it will actually try to combat with your tripod, because it is trying to constantly stabilize your picture, and it actually may create a blurry image while you're doing this, especially since the image is going to perhaps be open, you know, your sensor will be open for such a long time, your shutter. So you just want to make sure that you have VR turned off if you are using a VR lens, okay? But yes, it will eventually create blurriness. You don't want that. So here we are. We have our image all stitched together. These little stitchings are what Photoshop decided to make for us in this automation, okay? And in order to get rid of these stitchings, let me go ahead and show you what to do. On your keyboard, you're going to hit Alt, Control, Shift, and E. And that will basically get rid of those stitchings. And that's exactly what we want. So that's the first start right there. Now, I know there are other programs and probably AI out there that will do this for you. And you don't have to use Photoshop if you don't have access to Photoshop, but this is just what I use and it's what I learned on, so I'm going to be using that today, okay? So the first step we want to do when we are doing this panorama and fixing it is you will notice that you have curvature. You actually have distortion in your image now, since Photoshop decided to tweak up your photos just a little bit, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to tweak them back so then we actually have a nice straight looking image, okay? And the first thing I want to note is that you really want to open up your rulers, okay? So if you don't have rulers enabled, make sure you enable them. That way you can pull down some straight lines, okay? So what we're going to do first is we're going to check our horizon line. Okay, and as you will see, it is slightly off, and that's because of the lens and the way we turned our tripod. It was turning up a little bit, as you can see, but no worries, we'll go ahead and fix that right now. So what I'm going to do is select my image. I'm going to double click, because Photoshop has a tendency to drag with it the mouse wherever you go. So double click on the edge right here in the corner. That way you can activate a mode to where it doesn't stick to your mouse. And then we're going to go into warp mode, okay? This is the warp function, and basically what's going to happen is these little this grid is going to pop up, okay? And this grid is going to help you significantly when you adjust your image. I'm going to go ahead and back it up a little bit so you guys can see what we're doing. We're going to basically pull our corners back to where we want them and pull our lines. So what I'm going to do is create a vertical line. That way you can get my lines straight, okay? So as you can see, those lines are not straight whatsoever. And we're going to fix that right now. Okay, so first of all, I want to create a better horizon line. So I'm going to bring this down ever so slightly. Make sure it is going pretty straight against this this horizontal line, and that it matches up with everything pretty well, okay? And if you guys need to, just go ahead and zoom in a little bit just to see what's going on, okay? And you know what, that looks pretty good. Maybe over here it's a little bit off now, so just adjust everything accordingly, okay? Let's go to the edge here, and we're gonna pull this down a little bit more. Make this match. There we go. Okay, so our horizon line is pretty straight now. So now I'm going to go ahead and adjust the vertical lines, okay? And this is going to get a little tricky because of what we are dealing with right now. Okay, let's go ahead and make that complete. I'm going to go ahead and select it again, and there we go. Okay, we're going to go to warp mode again, and now we're going to adjust for our vertical lines, okay? And when we do this, make sure you have your other layers underneath turned off because they will interfere with what you're working on underneath. You don't want those other layers on. I forgot to turn them off, so just make sure you turn those off, okay? Let's see. Let's grab our corner. And we're going to start adjusting our vertical lines. Okay? Now when you do this, just keep in mind that you are playing with a distortion, so when you make those changes, just make sure they're in increments, not like a ton, because what will happen is your image will start falling apart, and you don't want that to happen whatsoever. But you do want to have lines that are going to line up properly, and so just match your lines up. You know, pull your line out from your ruler and just start matching those lines. Make sure they're all vertical and straight, and that each one of them matches your ruler line. Okay, we have those ruler lines in this program for a good reason. We're going to use them accordingly and make sure we get a nice straight image. Okay, let's see, let's go with this one. It's pretty good. Let's go with this one. This one looks pretty good too. That one's not bad. These are all looking pretty good. Okay, let's go over to the other side. And we will start seeing where it falls apart, I think. Yes, so right here, see where the building is starting to lean a little bit? We want to pull this over just ever so slightly. And that way we don't have that much of a distorted building. And you can go below too and adjust it. Just make sure you're careful when you're doing it. Just stretching out the pixels a little bit. Nothing too crazy. That's better. Okay, I'm just gonna go along the line here, and then I want to change my water a little bit because those lines are not as straight as I would like them to be. So I'm gonna just adjust this little point right here. Where is it? There we go. Okay. Come down the line here. See all those curves? We don't want those. Just straighten everything out. Make sure it's nice and straight. Okay. There we go. Maybe bring it back in a little bit. Just, you know, don't do anything too crazy, but just enough to make your image work. Okay. We're gonna go here because I see this point. It's kind of bothering me. There we go. There we go. It's starting to look a lot straighter than it did. Okay, and you just keep playing around with this, and eventually you'll get a nice straight looking image, and you won't have any curves in your picture, and your distortion will be fixed. Okay, so next thing you want to do after we do that is make sure you hit the complete commit transform button. Okay, because then you'll lose everything if you don't. Okay, and then we're going to zoom out, and you'll see that our image is still bent but in a different way. Now we're going to go ahead and crop this image. Okay, so make sure you have a free form crop. So if you don't, just hit clear And make sure you have a 300 resolution, because that's really important to keep your high resolution image. Okay. Oops. Hold on. Undo. Haha. And there we go. Okay, let's go crop. Alright. And now what we're going to do is just get on the very edges of this so that we have as many pixels as possible in our image and we don't get rid of what we did. We just want to make sure we crop out all the spots where it's bent and out of frame. Okay. Not out of frame, but it's just not, we don't want the little curves in the corners or anything like that. So let's just do that accordingly, and maybe get rid of a little bit of the sky, because we don't need a ton of sky in this. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and commit to that, and lo and behold, look what we have. We have a nice panel. Now after this, you can go ahead and adjust anything that you want, the contrast, the brightness, the color. That way you have a nice beautiful image. I'm just going to add some adjustment layers to this, so maybe levels to give me some more highlights, you know, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a hue saturation, add some more color to this. I don't want too much yellow, so I'm going to pull down my yellow a little bit. And then I'm going to add some more brightness to this. Let's see, oops. Let's add some more brightness. Let's really brighten up that a bit so you can see all that beautiful color that we got. Okay. And I think I'm liking that. I think I'm liking what I see, okay? So there is our panel, and that's what we did. And if you guys like that, you can go ahead and copy exactly what I did, and it should come out just the way you want it with everything that I just did. Okay. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something very constructive and something that you can actually use in real life for taking your panoramic photos. If you guys have any questions about this, please let me know in the comments below, because it's really important to me that you guys know how to do this. And if you already know, great, and that's awesome. If you have any other suggestions, please leave them in the comments below as well. But yeah, I had a real fun time making this video, and I just want to keep helping anybody that I can take better pictures, or even just take pictures in general. If you guys are new to photography, this could be really beneficial to you if you want to get a little more creative with your photo techniques. Okay, so I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you guys in the next one. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. All right, see you guys. Take care. Bye. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel to get notified when new videos get posted. Thank you for watching this video. Please consider checking out some of the other videos on the links at the end of this video.